Hello, everyone. Welcome. We'll give everyone a few minutes to join before we get started. Welcome, everyone. Let's wait another minute or two. At 37 people. I'll give it one more minute. All right, it's 2 after. We have 45 people. I think we'll get started. So welcome, everyone, to Desktop Connector training. We're going to be going over what it is, how it works, and how we should be using it. So I guess the first question is, what is Desktop Connector? Let me share my screen. Desktop Connector is a program that runs on your local computer, and it creates a virtual drive that serves as a bridge between your local file system and data is in Autodesk Cloud. It functions very similar to Google Drive, Dropbox, or Microsoft OneDrive, in the sense that the files are stored in the cloud, but you can access them locally, and it will sync between your local computer and the cloud. But in this case, it does that specifically for Autodesk projects that we have hosted in the cloud. Before I go any further, I want to define what a hub and a project is. A hub is basically the account. If you can see my screen here, the account, this is Collier's, CI Design, CRB, etc. This is what we refer to as a hub. Most of our projects are on the Genesis hub, but that's what that term means. And then the projects themselves are the actual jobs that are on that hub. And these terms will be relevant later. So Desktop Connector, you can find it down in your system tray, down on the bottom right. It's this little gray box with a D. If you don't have it right now, don't worry. Half of the people who have Revit right now don't have Desktop Connector at all, and the other half have version 15, which will be rolling out version 16 to everyone this weekend. So if you can, reboot when you're done for the day on Friday, and we will install it over the weekend. If for whatever reason that's not possible and we don't get to you this weekend, we will reach out to you individually next week to make sure you have the latest version of Desktop Connector. If you click on this little icon, it kind of brings up this little pop-up. And I'll go over what all of these things mean and what they do. But before I go into that, I want to show you what it looks like in File Explorer. So when you have Desktop Connector installed, you'll have this option over here in your Quick Access panel, or below the Quick Access panel. It says Autodesk Docs. And underneath of that, you'll see the hubs and then the projects that you have selected to sync locally to your machine. If you ever can't find it, it should be over in this panel. If you're, somewhere else like your C drive and you want to get to it, you can also go up levels until you're at the top level desktop, and the icon should be here. But essentially, this folder structure in here mimics the folder structure that you would find on the cloud. For example, here I have the J&J Springhouse Gen 3 Lab project open that's on CRB's hub. And as you'll see, this folder structure is the same because these are the same place. I want to emphasize that. So these files and these files are the same files. They're synced. So if you make any changes to these files locally, it will be changed here. If you delete one, it'll be deleted here. If you add one here, it'll add it here. I can demonstrate that. If I copy in a DWG, you'll see the little syncing symbol under status. And when it's done syncing, it'll have a little cloud symbol, and it should appear here. It may take a minute. You can actually see its progress here. It just told me it finished. And if I refresh my page, I should see it. There it is. It may have to process. But that's essentially what Desktop Connector allows you to do. We're going to be doing more of our Revit projects in the cloud in the future. So this probably will be more relevant then than it is now. We also want to do more hosting of CAD links in the cloud so that they're available to everyone, regardless of if our server is up or not. And to modify those CAD links, that's what Desktop Connector's primary use will no doubt be for. When Desktop Connector 16 is first installed, you will see a pop-up that looks like this the next time you boot your computer up. And it'll have your name here, and it'll give you this little message, and it says the first change is if you are a Autodesk Docs user, you must select projects you wish to view. So if you hit continue there, you're going to come up with the same as if you hit select projects here in the bottom left of the little pop-up, and it's going to open this window. This window shows you every hub and every project that you've been added to as a member. It tells you up the top you can only have 80 projects synced, which right now that's not a concern. I'm sure you're not added to 80 projects. I think I have currently been added to 79, and I'm probably on more than almost anyone. But in the future, years in the future, you may well be on 80 projects. So it's recommended that you only locally sync the ones that you are actively working on, and that when a project is finished, or if you are pulled off of a job and added to a different one, that you come into this window and you unselect projects that you're no longer part of. If you want to select a project, you just expand the hub and you can check it on. You hit save, and it will connect it, and it will sync all of the relevant files. And you can see that happening here. It just says added. It does sync it very quickly. And then over here, you'll see it was added to my local file explorer. And I can navigate through. Now you will notice too that you can actually see the Revit models for that project in your local file explorer here. It may be tempting to try to open these, but don't do that. These are not the live actual models. These are only the published versions of those models. And if you try to open one, like if you open Revit and you try to open this file, it will download this file to like off the cloud, and then it will fail to open because it's not an actual Revit model. This functions more like a zip file. It's weird how Autodesk treats it, but opening Revit models on the cloud is still done the same way it always has been, by navigating through the Autodesk projects or Autodesk docs link, depending on your version. And you can either choose the hub dropdown, or you can just search over here. This is still how you open Revit models, regardless of whether you have Desktop Connector installed. When I say they are the latest published versions, what I mean is when changes are made to the cloud model, you'll see it, the published status here. This means there's an update available. You can select here and you can publish that to the interface, the browser, basically. And that will change what you see here as well. Where are my models? Like this version will update with the latest. And if you download these, like if you download a model this way, it will download the latest published version. And that's essentially what these are. But yeah, don't open those. I know I've said it before, but these are the same as the cloud. So if you delete anything from here, it will delete it from the cloud too. So just be careful of that. If I deleted this CAD file, it's gone from here. It will warn you. In fact, let me go back and show you that. If I delete this test file that I uploaded, and I check its status, project activity, and it will warn you. It'll ask you, you deleted or moved one file or however many files from Desktop Connector. This will delete them from the cloud and impact all project users. Do you want to continue? You can hit restore and it'll put the file back. If you hit delete everywhere, it'll delete it both from your local synced files and from the cloud. So at least it does warn you. Syncing is paused until you tell it which one you want to do. But if you know you want to get rid of it, you hit delete everywhere and it's gone. Going back to the select projects window real quick. If you are on a ton of jobs, this can be a huge list, but you can go to the My Selections tab and it will only show you the jobs you have selected. So there unfortunately is no shortcut for finding one you want to sync, but once you have one synced, if you want to stop syncing it, you can just uncheck it, hit save, and it will remove, as you can see, it's already gone. It'll remove that folder from your Autodesk Docs connector and remove all the files from your local device. That will not delete anything on the cloud. It just removes it from your machine. There are certain files that are ineligible to sync. The main one is a shortcut file. So if you tried to create a shortcut to a file, Autodesk Desktop Connector is not compatible with shortcut files. And it will give you a warning. If I have a screenshot of that, 1 second. And it will say, we noticed your Desktop Connector folder has files or folders that are not affiliated with your project selection, so they will never sync. You will need to either delete or move the data to a location outside of the Desktop Connector folder. The offending files and folders are located here. Sorry, Jake, for using you as a example, but what I thought was interesting is it gives you a shutdown button. So Desktop Connector literally can't run if one of these files is in here. So you have to delete it. You hit shut down, and then you can go in. It just is shutting down the syncing essentially, and then you would go into here and delete that shortcut file, and then it would resume its syncing. But it can't sync a shortcut to the cloud is the problem. There are other file types that it can't use, but they're pretty rare, and honestly, shortcuts are probably the only ones that you're ever going to run into. There's a list on the website if you're curious, but they're mostly files I've never even heard of. The next section of Desktop Connector, next two sections, are these two, Reference Explorer and Upload with References. So Reference Explorer is a pretty cool little tool. It'll actually tell you what references a file has. Think of CAD files and XREFs. So if I drag this one in, it'll process, it'll look at the file and look at its xrefs, and it'll tell you they're not pathed correctly. But if it was, you would see like all of these are pathed into it. And you can even see xrefs and xrefs. It kind of is a way to help you, especially if you're uploading local CAD files to the cloud. It helps you know what other CAD files you might need. Like if you're putting a sheet, like a detail sheet or something in the cloud, it'll tell you what other files might be referenced into it. And you can look at it as a list, a tree, or a graph. I think you can just remove it, or you can just close it. The upload with references button, it lets you put a CAD file from our local server, your local drive, and put it in there, and it will upload all of the referenced files too. We tested this, and it can be a little weird depending on what references you have. For example, we tried one of our sheets, and in our Genesis in our sheet, there's a title block file. And in the title block file, there are logo images. And those logo images are actually stored in your C Genesis CAD folder, all the way here. So what Autodesk Desktop Connector does is it uploads this entire folder path inside a folder for that file. It's really unintuitive, and it's not the recommended workflow, at least that we found. I would say if you want to upload a file that has xrefs, use Reference Explorer to find out what those are, upload them all separately, and then open them in AutoCAD and repath them. Is probably an easier method. Otherwise, you're going to have it makes a folder called reference data, and then it puts the whole internal folder path inside that, and it's kind of a mess to find anything. If you do have to upload CAD files that have xrefs, you can always reach out to us in the BIM group, and we can help you figure out the best, least messy way to do that. It's not a perfect system, but Autodesk really tried. And finally, there's the troubleshooting tool. This is basically for if you are having an issue with syncing. If you've made changes to your local desktop connector folders that are not being referenced in the cloud, or if you've made changes to cloud files that are not being referenced locally, you can go to troubleshooting tool. You can choose the project that you might be having an issue with. You hit select, and it will tell you if there are any local changes not synced to the cloud, any cloud changes not synced to the local workspace. And you can decide what you want to do about it. I actually have, if you look at the PDF that I sent around about an hour ago, there's a page on the troubleshooting tool, and I use this graphic from Autodesk's website where it shows you here that, there's different files. It tells you what the problem is, and it can tell you what it's going to do, or what it would like to do with that to resolve it. And that's pretty much Desktop Connector in a nutshell. You can open CAD files directly in AutoCAD. I'll show you how to do that from inside both Revit and AutoCAD as well. Go back to my model. We'll do CAD first. Takes a while to start up. But if you go to open, you probably won't see it in your places over here, but if you go to your desktop and then go up, go all the way up till you can't go up anymore, you should see Autodesk Docs here. And you can navigate through. This was in here. So I can open this CAD file directly from the cloud. Sure. And if I make changes here, if I make changes to this file, you will see those changes reflected here. You notice it has a little lock on it, because even though this is like a cloud syncing interface, only one person can have a CAD file open at a time. That doesn't change. So if someone has it open, you'll see this little lock that basically says someone else has this open. When I close this file, this lock will go away. But those same changes will be reflected in the cloud environment as well. And once I've made changes to this CAD file and saved it, you could go into your Revit model and reload that CAD link, and you should see those changes. And you see the lock goes away. For Revit, if you open your Manage Links dialog box and you see CAD files that are pathed to the cloud versions, you'll see this is the path, Autodesk Docs, and then it has the hub and project path all the way down. And obviously, if you see P drive that's local, you could always repath. You can do a reload from, and then once again, go all the way up and go through this whole path and path it to a cloud version. Autodesk Docs, the Autodesk Desktop Connector is capable of syncing other files besides just CAD files. It can sync Word documents, Excel documents, pictures. I'm not recommending that you store all that stuff in the cloud. I'm just telling you that it is possible. If you wanted to save a copy of, say, survey photos in a cloud folder, maybe for an outside consultant, if we're using the Architects Hub, for instance, and they want to see the pictures you took, you could upload them there. Desktop Connector, you can just open this here and make a new folder and drag the pictures in. It'll sync them up to the cloud for you. There's a list of supported file types on Autodesk website, but it's pretty much every common file that you can think of, it does support. So I think that's about all I had. Will, Gavin, do you have anything to add?
I don't have anything.
I don't have anything.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions? Feel free to unmute and say so. All right. No questions is good, I guess. So yeah, if anybody does think of any questions later, feel free to email us at the BIM group. You can keep that PDF that I sent around as a reference tool. And like I said, we're going to try to install Desktop Connectors version 16 for everyone this weekend, so you can stop getting those annoying little pop-ups in the bottom right of your screen that says this version is being retired in December. And if you haven't seen those, you probably don't have Desktop Connector at all. So we'll take care of that this Friday afternoon at 2 p.m. is the install scheduled to go out. So if you could have your computers rebooted and left on and connected to the network, that'd be great. And if not, we'll just get to you next week. But anyway, thanks everyone for coming, and I'll see you all later.